he and I spent a lot of time up in Agua Dulce. It's outside of LA, it's north, at a buddy of mine's place. I should say it's Shelley Ward's place. So everybody that's watching this will know who Shelley Ward is if they're in the film business. And we used his place, and I started Austin on a very small bike, big old Austin on this little bike. And then we went to the next bigger bike, and I actually bought a bike that was small for him to ride. And he got pretty comfortable in that. And we started riding around out in the canyon country, just going on long rides and a lot of exercises. I did a lot of exercises with him, starting, stopping, turning. And it really paid off in the end. All that time that I spent with Austin for, I don't even know the time period. It was chopped up in a big time period, but it was great. It was really good for Austin. It was before Elvis had come out, so Austin wasn't noticed out in the world, you know. And it was good stuff. It was really good stuff. He and I, we got along. He's the sweetest guy in the whole world. Normally, the role of one of the stunt coordinators would not be to source the motorcycles, but since I personally own a lot of these motorcycles, my best friend, his name's Oliver Peck, he owns a lot of motorcycles. I have a few other friends that have pretty big collections of these. We decided that I would gather up the motorcycles, make a deck of them so Jeff could look at them. The first conversation I had with Jeff, I don't know his exact wording, but it was something effective. Milburn, I'm gonna rely on you to keep me out of trouble. I don't want to be on a junket somewhere and somebody come up and ask me a question about some motorcycle that shouldn't have been in the show. And I said, don't worry, that is what I'm here for. I will do that. Yeah, Springfield is 66. So Jeff and I had talked about this a lot. We have to be very careful with the motorcycles to see certain parts of them. There's a few motorcycles that actually have a few things that might overlap into later years. So the motorcycles that we have here, we're very careful not to have anything that was, any parts that we can see that are from the 70s. There's, like I say, Harley Davidson, there's some parts on these motorcycles that go from 65 to 80 something, it's all the same stuff, or 66, or I think there's 10 to 12 of these bikes that are mine, that I own personally. There's a good 6 or 7 or 8 that belong to my best friend, Oliver. There's another 9 or 10 that belong to a buddy of mine named Quigley. And then from there, because we have a deck of 45 motorcycles that are the ones that run the length of the show, this group of motorcycles that's behind me is pretty much the original Vandals, what we're calling the OG Vandals, which would be the characters, Benny's character, Johnny's character, Brucey's character, Wahoo's, Corky, those guys, and probably Cowboy and stuff. All the actors that are riding these motorcycles, I had to spend time with them. I spent the most time with Austin, of course. But what happened as they started trickling into Cincinnati, I took in the ones that were really, they had to ride either harder bikes or they really wanted to ride, like Toby Wallace. We rehearsed a lot of group riding, like what we shot a few days ago here at the Springfield rally, where we came in and the Johnny characters and everybody's, myself and there's almost 20 stunt guys all behind him and a couple BG in the back. But yeah, we had to rehearse that over and over again because you can't just have people running each other, and we had to rehearse the way we're going into it. The Kathy stuff, some of that, because there's an actress on the back, I double Austin in this movie, so some of that will be me, and a lot of it will be Austin in real life, but there'll be some of that, like the chase scene with Austin, it'll be me, but Austin is getting so comfortable on a motorcycle, we're gonna get as much footage as Austin as we can. Like Norman Reedus could ride a motorcycle. He's a motorcycle riding guy. But before I came over here to interview with you, I just spent a couple hours with him on the motorcycle he's going to ride, which is a hand shift bike. And the hand shift bikes are the ones that, even guys that ride motorcycles a lot, they're not really accustomed to riding these hand shift bikes. Harley had a lot of hand shift bikes. There's a lot of hand shift bikes in the book, a lot of hand shift bikes in that time period. Austin Butler is on the motorcycle constantly in the movie, which is fine with me, and he loves it. In fact, I had found a motorcycle I was going to buy recently, and on one of our trips to some barbecue place with everybody that we weren't supposed to be on, Austin and I started talking, and my buddy Oliver was here visiting, and he was heading over to a swap meet over in North Carolina, and I made a deal with the guy to bring that bike, and I went and took some money out of my bank account, paid for that bike so Austin could have, and Austin's like, I want it. And so I got I pretty much bought a bike for Austin. I'm not sure
Yeah,
he wanted it. But his bike is really cool. It's a 66 FLH, a lot like the bike. The bike he's riding in the show is a 65, which that's one of my bikes. Jeff, the director, and we spent a lot of time deciding who was riding what bike, and so Austin's bike is a 65 Panhead. It's a 65. It's not original paint because it's all beat up, but it is pretty cool. It has the cool little airplane on the fender. It has the lights in the back. It has a lot of little trinkety things, but it's a really good, reliable bike, and that's one of the reasons why I picked it to be the main bike, because it's my personal bike. I know it's reliable. This red bike that is Johnny's bike Johnny's character, which is Tom Hardy's character, who is Johnny. I hope I'm not screwing this up for you too much. This bike belongs to my buddy Oliver. It's a 55. It belonged to a man who was a mechanic at Six Flags Over Texas. I guess they have their own mechanics. And it was his bike, and it used to be on display at the 50s town in Six Flags, I guess. The Brucey bike, we matched Brucey's bike that was in the book, which we matched as close as we could. I actually spent a lot of time trying to find that bike. I had friends looking for that specific style of bike. There was a sequence where Benny's bike gets run into by a car. I know that there's a shot where Benny's bike gets kicked over, which I don't think I'm going to be able to watch that when that really happens. I can't believe my bike is going over on its side, but that's going to happen, and we'll get through that. Oh, hell yeah. Okay. My girlfriend in high school had the photo of the guy riding over the bridge in her bedroom. Yes, of course. Everybody that has ridden an old Harley Davidson you have to kick, they have seen that, at least the photo over the bridge. In '84, I got on my Honda that I had back then, and I put my leather jacket on, I greased my hair up, and at noon, in whatever date it was, in 1984, I rode down to the movie theater, and I watched Streets of Fire, and I thought to myself, that is the world that I want to exist in. Yeah. And I am sure that I have been existing in that world since then, and I immediately started figuring out how I was going to get a real Harley Davidson. I know deep down that if this movie is done right, and we don't put modern motorcycles and paint them to be old, we don't green screen things in, if Austin Butler's actually riding that 65 Pan, and you see Tom Hardy ride in on that thing, and you see the details of this and the way that people are dressed, that it's going to bring it back to its core. This is real. Like, these are real motorcycles. This takes guys they're not easy to start. I have gone to great lengths for this to happen, for me to have my stunt riders riding on these bikes. I mean, it's a battle because it's expensive to have 28 guys that are motorcycle only. Every one of these guys race motorcycles.